Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa Lizards.
I'm Neptune the Chameleon.
And we're your reptile girlies.
Okay, do you remember? Oh, I don't know. 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, very recently.
Maybe it was 3. I don't know. When I said that I got recognized at work from like YouTube.
Because that's kind of a big deal.
And how like, that was like, yeah, the first time that happened. Well, it happened again.
Okay. Did it happen again or is the gossip mill?
No, this happened again. Because he found a specific video. So let me set the scene. I was at our water bottle refill station, which I'm a frequent flyer of. And it's this guy who's like on a different team than my team, but we're in the same org. And he's like, hey, do you have a Chameleon channel? And I, like, you can tell my brain is like loading of like, how do I want to answer
this question?
And I was like, yes. And he's like, oh, I was like scrolling Instagram and I wasn't sure like if you had a twin or something. And I was like, no, but also if I had a twin that no one knew about, I'd get like so much done.
So it's really funny you say that because when was it? In a recent episode, somebody commented on one of our things and said, quick, delete this and repost saying that you have a twin. And I think it was that same episode.
Oh, funny.
So that is very in line with that.
Because I can totally see from their perspective being like, hey, I think I know this girl.
Yeah.
Wait, do I? Wait, is this the same? Right. And like their brain trying to like
especially
figure it out.
Because like consider the fact that like they have no knowledge of you ever speaking about reptiles ever. So it does seem really out of the norm for their version of you in their heads, right?
Yes.
Like that's crazy.
And I think just in general to see someone you know in real life on the internet is weird.
And the fact that your name isn't in the handle. So they're probably like Neptune the Chameleon, but that looks like, but how, who, where.
I know.
Like I can
very
understand.
Confusing for their brains.
That's probably like a moment of like true confusion.
I'm like, okay. But the reason how I know it's not the rumor mill, because this guy found my fruit fly culture video on Instagram that is currently sitting at 3.6 million views.
What a video to find.
That's what I'm saying. So this is how I know it's not
100%
the rumor mill.
It's just like, the algorithm's algorithming.
And you know, we're like talking. He's like, yeah, I like watched the video where you're like making fruit flies. I was like, oh, you mean the one that has over 3 million, 3 million views? He's like, yeah, that's the one. And I was like, how many of my coworkers have seen this video? And I just don't know it.
Also, not to like concern you, but like how many of them have seen it and are just like not going to bring it up with
That's
you
what I'm saying.
There's probably a lot.
3.6 million?
Yeah.
Like what, statistically speaking, I probably work with like 100 people. So I'm like, run the numbers. I was like, you know.
There's at least probably like, I don't know, 10 to 12 maybe more.
I have no idea.
Crazy.
You have to be on a very particular part of the internet, though, to see this. So.
I will say this is one of the reasons I have mixed feelings about the fact that, like, all of my coworkers know about all of my channels and platforms. And literally, they know everything because I got hired through, like, an old boss who...
already knew all that.
Well, she already knew all of that. But also, she literally, when she set up my interview via, like, email, she... Put my Instagram link, my profile link in my interview description. And I was like, what are we doing? But honestly, now it's kind of nice because now I never have to worry about anybody not talking to me about it.
I know.
Everybody just knows. It's out in the open.
So that happened like 2 weeks later. I was like,
the fact that it happened in 1 month is wild.
And I was like, so I can't keep this on the DL, you know? And they're like, okay, cool. And I'm like... And then in other news, I forgot to tell you this. What? My great aunt messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, what's your like Chameleon Instagram, Facebook page or whatever? And I was like, oh, here you go, Neptune the Chameleon, whatever. She's like, thank you. I have a student has a chameleon egg.
Cute.
That hasn't hatched.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not cute.
See? It was cute until it wasn't.
Not cute.
And I was like, oh no. I was like, chameleon eggs aren't really recommended, you know. And I was like, but fingers crossed it hatches.
Yeah.
you know? Yuck. And then my great aunt was like, well, hopefully, like, your content helps. And I was like, yeah, but if the egg doesn't hatch, it doesn't hatch. You know, like, my content's not gonna...
My contents are for chameleons, not eggs.
Yeah. Anyways, so I digress. All good. But I know you're going through a kind of, like, internal... I don't want to say, like, turmoil, because that seems, like, dramatic.
That's very dramatic.
But, like... internal dialogue, maybe, is that a better word, of your hair length.
Yes.
And you've brought it up a handful of times now.
I've brought it up so many times with poor Logan. He's getting
even
sick
on
of
the
me.
pod too.
I know. So the last time I cut my hair, which was maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, I think it was like right before in ARBC Dallas, because I remember it was like right before that. So I cut it pretty, this is like pretty short by my standards. Like I've always had very, very long hair, like as long as yours. But I cut it up to like almost collarbone length. I think my hair guy, I've known him for like going on 4 or 5 years now, and he's fantastic. But I think I told him that I wanted collarbone length, and I think to play it safe, because he knows that I get really scared of like big change, he was like, I think
he went a smidge longer.
He went just a smidge longer, which I really appreciate. But I liked this length so much that I'm like, I want to go way shorter. Like I want to go like grazing my shoulders. That's so short. It's so short. And so I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit, because I feel like there are so many things, because the reason I haven't pulled the trigger yet, right, on cutting my hair is literally because I feel like any big hair shift that you're making, like big hair change, there's a lot of things to consider.
Absolutely.
And I say this because, like I said, I've mentioned it to Logan a bajillion times in the last 3 months, and he finally got annoyed with me earlier this week, and he straight up was like, why haven't you just done it yet? And I was like, honey, because I haven't figured out a solution yet for when I want to put my hair up when it's short.
I know. Whenever I get my hair cut, I'm like pretty flexible. I go in for like a trim, and they'll take off like a good few inches, but then I like the shorter framing pieces, and I always tell them, I was like, you have to go as long enough that it can fit in a ponytail.
100%.
And I don't mind if I have a little sprout sticking out of the top of my ponytail, but it needs to fit in a ponytail. And I'm not having any like wispies or have to pin back hair. So I'm like, that's the shortest you can go. And so
especially because you work out a lot and stuff. Like that makes a lot of sense.
And I love a good ponytail, but I know you're not a big ponytail person. So, you will, but
I have mixed feelings about ponytails, and that is simply because I am a like reluctant member of the club of women that have very fine hair. And when I say fine, I mean like thin isn't the right word, because I have a lot of hair, but it's very fine and just delicate, and it breaks easily and all this stuff. So like because of all of that, when I pull my hair back in a ponytail, I feel bald. Because I don't have like a lot of thickness,
the volume.
I don't have the volume. Like my hair just naturally does not have volume. So when I pull it back in a ponytail, I feel like I'm wearing a bald cap. Okay? And so it has made me uncomfortable since I was probably like 14 years old.
I will rock a slightly off-center ponytail any day of the week. My thing is then it leaves a dent in my hair.
That too.
And even though with curly hair you can typically like get away with not washing it as often as like straight hair usually, but then I have this kink in my hair. So then I have to then do another updo of sorts the next day because I can't unkink it.
And as you know, my hair is so bendable that when we do our podcast, I get headphone hair.
Yeah.
Every time from just 1 hour of wearing these headphones.
It is a very obvious like
circle. It looks so ridiculous. So that's the other reason I hate ponytails for me personally, is because when I put my hair up, it cannot come down unless I'm showering and washing my hair.
Yeah.
Like there's no choice, because the kink in my hair isn't easily fixable, like at all.
So I know the dilemma you're facing is like, how do you have an updo when your go-to move now is the claw clip?
Yes.
Which has been a game changer, I feel like, for everyone, because then I can also have my hair up without it kinking and whatever else. I don't know if you guys can hear that thunder, but it's a rumbling.
It is definitely storming right now. That is crazy.
This guy, I wish we were cozy with like a little snuggly blanket or something.
So nice. Oh my gosh.
But what if you had the little claw clips, like the little 3 or 4 teeth?
There's a couple things. I think I could probably, depending on how short I go, I think I could probably do the small clips in like a half up, half down situation.
Yep.
And I could be very comfortable with that. I also, like, I'm thinking for yoga, right? I do a lot of yoga. So yoga's hard because you're laying on your back a decent amount.
Oh, so you don't want to feel that.
So you can't have a clip. So I do have to, for yoga, usually bring a hairband and put it up on top of my head.
What if you did a short little pony at the, like,
that'd be very cute.
nape of your neck?
I could do that.
Little piggy tails.
I could totally do that. But I think another solution I've been looking into is like the headbands where I just pull it up and it's all just back there. But like, it's not, because I hate it when hair is like touching the back of my neck and it's like sweaty and it like freaks me out. So anyway, I'm just looking for all these solutions, because when Logan kind of forced me into like answering the question the other day, he was like, why haven't you just done it yet? And I'm like, because I am considering all of these things. And I like listed all the things. And he was like, oh, that's a lot to think about. And I was like, mm-hmm.
Thank you. If you could just
like
pipe down.
You just leave me alone for a hot minute. Because literally, I've just been trying to like come to terms with the fact that like if I cut it, which I'm going to, it's going to happen. I've like made up my mind. But if I cut it, it is going to change how I have comfortably dealt with my hair for a while. And I will say part of the reason I'm also wanting to cut it is because when I cut it this time, because my hair is so fine, delicate, and straight, because it's so flat, my hair is so unbelievably flat, which is ironic that I'm saying it as it's curly right now, but this does not stay like this for long. Because it's so flat, it just doesn't, I have to wash it all the time. I have to wash it like almost every day because it gets oily. But when it's short, I can just throw some dry shampoo in there, run like a curling iron through it just for like 10 minutes, and it's not as noticeably oily. Like and because when it's longer, it pulls the weight down. It feels a little bit more volumized when it's shorter. How
long do you think it takes me to curl my hair?
That's a great question.
It's like 10 minutes.
Are you serious? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how that happens, because it takes me about 10 minutes to do mine at this length.
I was like, 10 minutes? But you probably have to hold it.
Yes, because it doesn't hold curl.
I'll hold it for like 5 to 8 seconds.
No,
per curl.
I almost like burn the heck out of my hair. I have to hold it for at least, I would say, like 15 to 18 seconds maybe.
Per curl?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm like 5. I'll do 10 seconds for the front pieces, because those are like
important,
the nice ones. But for the back, 5 seconds. I use my air wrap. Yeah. Big fan.
But there's just a lot to consider anytime you do any big hair change. I mean, the same could be said for anybody like adding really heavy duty extensions, anybody doing like some
color, really bangs, layers,
people doing, really cool different braids, different things, like all the stuff. I mean, there's just big chops, huge hair dyes. There's so many things.
I do not anticipate a big chop in my future.
I don't either. I don't see that for you.
No, I've had my hair pretty long. This is like my preferred length. I call it my mermaid length because it covers,
the shells.
The shells. Oh, that's good. But to me, that's like a good length. Longer than that, it kind of gets a little unruly, totally. Especially with curly hair, because then you deal with matting in the like back of your head, especially. Even if I like am just going about my day-to-day, sitting at the office, I'll still get like it all tangled and stuff.
Well, so again, that's another reason I'm kind of wanting to cut mine shorter, is because I've been curling it more lately with it shorter, because it's easier and faster to curl than it used to be.
Yeah.
But now, because it's below because it's at my shoulders or below my shoulders, it's getting more matted.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
So that's part of the reason I want it shorter, because it won't get matted if it's not up against my shoulders.
Yeah, I'm not even like sleeping or anything. I'll like go through my entire day and just have knots. But
crazy.
Neither here nor there. So
I just wanted to talk about it because it's been something on my mind, and Logan finally.
Do you think you'll get it done by the end of the year?
So my thought is potentially like right before my birthday in January. So like I'm kind of thinking like around December is when I would potentially do it.
So right on the cusp. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Stay tuned.
My hair guy also, like, he's booked up for October, so it's not happening. And this is coming out in November, so we'll see. Anyway.
More to come.
Yes. So next we have something that I have also been wanting to talk about for a really long time. We're just hitting all the things that I've been wanting to discuss lately.
That's good.
So recently, I would say in the last like 2-3 months, I've had the same video go pretty viral across TikTok and Instagram. And it is a video of Voldemort, my legless lizard. And on it, it basically just says, this is your monthly reminder that that snakes are not simply legless lizards without, I am saying this totally wrong.
Take two. It basically says a monthly reminder that lizards are not snakes. No. I need to just read this off, guys. Snakes are not lizards without legs.
Give me a sec. I'm going to read the exact thing off the top because I said it really well.
We're confusing ourselves.
We really are. Okay. Your monthly reminder that no, legless lizards are not snakes and snakes are not simply lizards without legs. So
that was very well said.
It was very well said. It was not at all, but it did come out of my own brain 2 months ago.
It's just hard to keep track of all of it.
But so that video has gone very viral across both. Like, I don't think it's hit quite 1 million yet, but I think on Instagram, it's in the like 300,000 or 400,000.
Just wait for your coworkers to see it.
I know, I'm terrified. Anyway, luckily my face isn't in that one. So
that's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. But basically, when that video went viral, like, first off, the majority of responses were like some of the comments were really funny. Like, is the like new animal just dropped? Like, whatever, like funny stuff like that. You know, people being like, I've never seen this. What the heck is this? That freaks me out.
Yes.
It's a lot of people being like, honestly, this scares me more than snakes. And I'm like, fair. I get that. Like,
we said literally in the last episode that I'm not particularly a fan of.
No.
I like Voldy because of like his personality and like he's yours. Yeah. Legless lizards in general, though,
freak you out.
Not really my cup of tea.
No. And I remember when I got him, you were like, are we sure?
That's what I'm saying. We did the whole play-by-play, so you guys know fresh exactly where I stand on it.
But it was, you were very hesitant on that one. But it also, unfortunately, opened up the conversation to all of the biology nerds out there who really wanted to make sure that I know that snakes are in fact related to lizards and legless lizards in particular. And I'm like, okay. So I got a lot of comments basically being like, well, you can't evolve out of a clade. So they are actually snakes actually are lizards without legs. And I'm like, no, I understand what you're saying. And you're technically in a way biological. So we're going to talk about it.
So we're for the internet, we're just gonna say what makes a lizard a lizard, what makes a snake a snake.
Yes.
Because there is gray area and there is overlap, and it's not if this then that black and white type of thing.
Right.
Like there's very nuanced classifications.
A lot of nuance to it. Yes, there are classifications. Yes, there are, orders in the animal kingdom. There's all these different things. So we're just going to kind of let's just very quickly cover some of the like main differences between legless lizards and snakes, right?
Okay.
So just very, very simply, and these are not all of the differences. These are some of the most noticeable and most obvious differences. And what that is that lizards most often, and we're not even touching on geckos, okay? Because that is a whole other separate, I think it's a separate order, if I'm using that correctly. But it's either a separate order or class. I think they're all under the class of reptilia, and geckos are separate. So we're not even touching geckos. So this does not apply to geckos. But lizards most often have eyelids, right? So legless lizards, most species do have eyelids.
Which is why you have to take geckos off the table.
Yes.
Because they have a fused eyelid, so that it's not functioning like a normal eyelid, so their eyes don't move around the same way that other lizard species do.
Exactly. So that is one big difference. They also, legless lizards are almost all tail. Like the majority of their length is their tail. And the place where their tail and snakes' tails begin is totally different. So snakes, like their whole body is mostly their body. Most snake species, their tail is actually only just like a few inches down at the bottom, or maybe a little longer in some bigger snakes.
And you can usually tell because there'll be a coloration difference. You can also see the taper of where their tail begins. So you'll notice that as a result, the majority of their shape is, that one coloration or that one level of like thickness.
Right. Yes, totally. So that is also a really big difference. Another really big difference is their diet. Okay, so for example, legless lizards, they're technically omnivores, but my species, the Sheltopusic, they are a little bit more on the carnivorous side. So very similar to snakes, right? Like snakes need whole prey, and that is, snakes are obligate carnivores. They get all of their nutrients from their prey item, including the calcium in their bones. That's what, impacts them with their D3 levels, like all of those things. So that is how a snake's diet is. A legless lizard's diet, they are mostly carnivorous, I would say, but they can eat a lot of insects like snails, things like that, and then just any other insects. And that is a viable form of protein for them, whereas it is not for snakes. That is not something... There are some insect-eating snake species. I'm not discounting those, but most snakes are obligate carnivores, whereas legless lizards, require that. So that is another big difference.
Speaking of diet, I want to talk about teeth and tongues.
Ooh, yes.
Because those are also very different between lizards and snakes. So lizards, and I'm thinking of Voldy, like legless lizards, right, are going to have like the small teeth, like you kind of would expect in like of like fish teeth. Kind of, where they're like,
great way of explaining it. Fish teeth. That's very similar. Yeah.
Where they're like little triangle shaped, and they're usually all the same kind of like length size.
Yes.
Right. Versus snake teeth, I think everyone's very familiar with like snake teeth. Like, where, we've got
some fangs.
We've got different sizing.
It's all varied in the lengths. Like the lengths kind of.
And you got the ability to retract with snakes, right? Lizards don't retract their teeth. I'm thinking of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes.
I was like, oh, you don't have any teeth. And then he goes, his do retract.
Yes.
But that's a big thing. And then the tongues are also
totally
very different. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So snakes, very common character trait of a snake is the forked tongue. That's a huge thing. Whereas Voldemort, I would say they have a little bit of like a slit in their tongue, but it's almost more like a skink tongue. Right? Like Voldy's is really funny because it's kind of like a little circle with like a rectangle on the rest of it. So instead of a fork, it's almost like a little circle with like a little slit in it, which is so funny and weird looking. It's a very unusual shaped tongue, but whatever. But it's not forked. It's not, that totally split forked tongue like it is with snakes, which is very different.
Yep. And all the things we're kind of describing, like there are nuances, obviously, to all those things. I think lizard tongues in general are just really cool because, you look at a gecko tongue, right? I'm thinking like the adorable little crested gecko tongue that's got like basically what looks like a little scoop on the end of it, right? Then you have like a chameleon tongue. Absolutely wild thing probably of nature.
Craziest tongue in the animal kingdom. I don't know.
Right, like absolutely insane tongues. And you've got skinks, right, which are like basically these little flat paddles that like are kind of like wrinkle a little bit, and they stick them out and whatever else. Then you've got like monitor tongues, right, that are probably most similar to snake tongues, but like are completely different.
Totally different. And all of those come from different families within the Reptilia class or order or whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a biologist. I'm not trying to be one. But I did learn a lot of interesting stuff about it today. And so
we got tails, eyes, teeth, tongues.
Okay, Neptune, what are your top 2 feeder bugs for all your critters?
Dubious for protein and black soldier fly larvae for lots of calcium.
Simpton offers a wide variety of insects like silkworms, dubia roaches, waxworms, and our favorites, black soldier fly larvae.
I've also heard the entomologists at Simpton have customized the diet of their black soldier fly larvae to maximize their calcium content, so there's no need to dust them with calcium.
So if you're interested in trying them out, use code THEWILDTYPE at simptonbsf.com for 15% off your order. Are you looking for a new enclosure for one of your reptile babies? Be sure to check out Cages with a K. Each enclosure is made to order by their team in Minnesota, which means they can even do custom builds.
The enclosures are made from high-quality PVC with tempered glass doors, allowing for superior heat and humidity retention. They offer screen tops, side vents, and belly heat customization options to ensure the ideal setup for any environment.
So whatever dream home you want built, Cages has you covered. Use code WILDTYPE50 to get $50 off any order over $300 at reptilecages.com.
Do you sell reptiles? Be sure to check out the Palm Street app, a place where you can have your very own live auctions to help find your reptiles' amazing homes in a community full of thousands of reptile lovers. To apply to be a seller, go to page.palmstreet.app/reptile.
They prioritize ethical breeding and trading practices, ensuring all reptiles on their platform come from responsible sources. Once approved, Palm Springs Reptile Team will guide you through every step. From setting up your reptile shop to going live for the first time, you'll get hands-on support to sell confidently, safely, and responsibly. We also have some skeletal differences. I am not 100% factual on exactly what those differences are, but it's based on what I talked about with like the length of the tail and the body, like, and the basically like snakes don't necessarily have almost hip-like structure, whereas legless lizards have a little bit of that in them.
Oh, okay.
I believe. So it's a totally different skeletal structure as well. And then also how their body is made up. Like snakes are truly all muscle, right? Like the movement, the way that snakes move and the way that lizards move and their behaviors are so completely different. And that's why, like, to me, when my video went viral, I'm like, what do you mean he's moving like a snake? Do you have eyes? Like, are we kidding?
Right, but they see what looks like a slithering movement and immediately think snake.
But it's so funny to me because the way that Voldemort moves is so lizard-like. There's nothing about the way that he moves or behaves that is like a snake. Snakes are very, in my opinion, fluid, right? Like snakes definitely have their jerky moments where they'll like, you know, pull back or different things, but they're so much more fluid in the way that they move and the way that they can fully wrap around anything. That is something so different. Like, for example, I could have Tarzan wrapped around my forearm right now and he would be perfectly fine and perfectly balanced because that is how his body holds on to things. I cannot hold Voldemort like that. Voldemort's body cannot wrap and hold on to things at all. In fact, he can't hold on to anything because he falls off of everything because they do not have that muscle, like that same type of muscular structure to where they can hold on to things like that.
An analogy that might be helpful, and you tell me if this is a good or bad analogy, is think about like a runner. You've got like distance runners and you've got sprinters. Yeah. Like they're both running, but you look at how a distance runner, how they hold their arms, their cadence, their stride, their posture, their breathing is completely different than a sprinter that's a lot tighter, quicker, like quick twitch, and like yes, they're both running, but like those are completely different types of movement. And so I would say the way that a legless lizard moves is more of that like quick twitchy kind of like jerky movement that we see typically with lizards versus the snake is just like kind of gliding like a distance runner.
Yes. I would also, and I mean this, like I said, I'm no expert. I have one legless lizard and I have 3 snakes and I'm making my assessments based off of my own personal experience, but just legless lizards seem to be far less cautious than snakes are. Snakes kind of move through the world with an abundance of caution and nerves and defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Yeah. But I wonder, because I have seen cautious, like I would say reptiles in general are cautious
100%
animals. So, and I also, Voldy's such a peculiar little booger that part of me wants to say that's just Voldy.
No, but almost every other person I know who has had a Sheltopusik has
they're also
I think they're way? All kind of like that.
Okay, I'm here for it. Like because we definitely see like different dog breeds are more predetermined to certain personality characteristics and level of confidence or timidness, like whatever.
But I just have never really heard of a legless lizard owner. Basically, and if you are one, let me know in the comments. I just, none of the legless lizards owners that I know that I've talked to personally have ever really been like, oh, like he strikes me as like he's cautious or he's nervous or like whatever. Like they're just kind of bold, like and just not a care in the world. Yeah, honestly, like they just all seem to be pretty strong in that way. I don't know, but that's a personality difference. But those are the main differences that I'm aware of between the two. But I will very quickly kind of talk through. I put together a little bit of a timeline on these guys of how they kind of like
evolution.
Of how they kind of like lost their limb.
This is so fun for me because I don't know any of this.
This is so fascinating. So, okay, to put this into like very easy terms, because I basically had to like absorb all of this information and like sum it down and like make sense. Like, because it gets very complicated. So basically, both lizards and snakes belong to the same order of Squamata, which is within the class of Reptilia. Okay. So there's the Reptilia class at the top, and then there's all these different orders underneath. And that order of Squamata, so Squamata is what is called a clade. So, and this is what all the people in the comments were telling me, you can't evolve out of a clade. And I'm like, okay, I'm aware of that, but that doesn't defeat my statement. Anyway, so Squamata is a clade, right?
Yep.
And Serpentes is also a clade. And those are both considered orders under the class of Reptilia. So Serpentes is snakes, true snakes that we have today, modern snakes. Squamata is what is considered like modern lizards, right? Okay. So Serpentes, I'm pretty sure, falls like under Squamata as well. But basically what a clade is, to give anybody like that description, it's the Greek meaning of the word is branch. So it's literally like a family tree. So for example, a single common ancestor is what a clade is. So all Serpentes have a single common ancestor, and all Squamata have like a certain common ancestor.
You're making my brain work very hard.
I'm sorry, guys.
I'm following, but only because my brain is like, keep up.
I know. I'm really sorry. I promise. Okay. Let me get it real simple. Squamata includes lizards, snakes, and worm lizards, but basically legless lizards, right? So, and then snakes are a branch of Squamates that evolved into limblessness and other specializations, whereas legless lizards are separate branches within Squamata where their limbs were lost independently. So it's totally different from snakes. So legless lizards.
So it's like two different evolution paths.
Completely. So to get into the timeline of it very quickly, 240 million years ago, in the middle of the Triassic period, the squamate lineage originated per fossil evidence.
Okay.
Then 110 million years ago, in the Cretaceous period, that is when true snakes, or the Serpentes clade, began to diversify per fossil evidence.
Okay.
And then 50 to 30 million years ago, in the Eocene to Oligocene period, many modern snake families were established. And then 40 million years later, legless lizards started to independently lose their limbs.
So we're talking like millions of years.
70 million years between the early snakes and legless lizards. So no, snakes are not just lizards without legs. I will say it for the millionth time. I appreciate the biological nerding out in my comment sections, but it doesn't negate my statement, okay? I stand by what I said.
Yes, and of course, like, you could really get into the nitty-gritties, and, like, if you Google, because I did this, if you Google what makes a lizard, it's like it has to have 4 legs. Sometimes it has eyelids. Sometimes it can drop its tail. Sometimes, right. And like there's so many stipulations.
And that was essentially the dialogue that was happening in my comment section. Was people being like, the comments were saying stuff like that. Well, lizards have this, and people were like, well, what about geckos? And I'm like, everybody, calm down.
Yes, there's so many nuances, and like that's what's so cool about animals, evolution. Like we're look at the animal kingdom. We're talking about this like tiny subset of the animal kingdom. Can we just talk about the ocean for a second?
Don't even get me started on marine life.
The ocean?
I'll nerd out for hours.
For a second. Like, maybe we went the wrong direction with this whole reptile podcast thing.
Maybe we should get into
an ocean podcast.
The marine life.
Because, like, the evolution of, like,
it's
birds, of sea life, of reptiles, dogs, like, I'm just like, life is crazy. And the fact that there's 70 million
in between
years.
Those two.
Okay, you also said something about skinks when we were talking.
Yes. Oh, thank you. This was also in my notes. I have a long list of very highly scientific notes over here. So basically, okay, some skink species. So for example, as we know, northern blue-tongued skinks like Manila or, any of the Indonesian species as well, they're little sausages with legs, right? They have these thick bodies and these tiny useless legs. And I know that almost every single person in the reptile community has looked at skinks and been like, what is the point of those legs? What is the point of that?
Besides to look cute.
So when legless lizards started to independently, outside of the snake lineage, because those are totally separate lineages, when legless lizards started to kind of evolve to lose their limbs, there were some species, including some, and I'm speaking so generally here, this isn't every single skink species. I'm not even saying that it directly correlates to blue-tongued skinks, but certain skink species, say that 10 times fast, started to not just lose their limbs, but some just started to reduce their limbs. Which is why some skink species have their tiny little nubs that don't make sense.
Because you're saying legless lizards losing their limbs. Mm-hmm. So then my little peanut brain, who cannot wrap my head around 70 million years of evolution.
Me either.
Is like, so was it just like a nub? And then it was like gone? Or was it like 3 legs? And then, like,
I mean,
what did they look like? Before that, like, they had legs?
You have to imagine that there was some kind of in-between period, right? Like, there had to have been, like, some point where they just had, like, little fingers or something. Like,
right.
Like, there has to be...
And, like, from a biology, physics standpoint, you would be faster on legs than not legs, so wouldn't...
I don't know about that. You can be real quick without legs. Have you ever seen Voldemort get moving?
Yeah, but, like, with legs, though? I don't know.
That boy's quick.
I'm just saying, I'm curious though, like if I'm prey and I'm like eating something, am I more likely to catch something with legs or without legs? But like evolution tells you that you're more likely to catch something with legs because then you would produce nubs to then not have legs to then,
But I would also argue, depending on the terrain of that species, whatever species we're talking about, what you can imagine that based on that terrain and based on whether or not that species likes to burrow or can burrow, legs could also get in the way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's so many
factors.
And there's surely no way for us to know for certain. Obviously, scientists can hypothesize and we can use evidence and blah, blah, blah. But like truly no way to know.
No. Yeah, because we'll never witness it. We'll never see it. We might find certain fossil evidence or scientific evidence of yada, yada, yada. But even with fossil evidence, like people are debating, what dinosaurs truly looked like because we're just going based off of the bones. Like we have no idea what these animals actually look. No clue. We're fully guessing. We're guessing on so much. We're guessing on so many things. Like I saw recently, basically somebody posted a picture of a platypus skeleton, right? Mm-hmm. So their tail was just a little stick of bones and it didn't show the paddle at all. So if that is what we're basing the platypus on, and imagine none of us had ever seen a platypus, we would totally draw that incorrectly. Yeah. So the same could be said about every fossil species we've ever found.
I know. It's a slippery slope.
So crazy. And we're not getting into all of that. But I just had to discuss it a little bit because my comment sections have been going crazy on this topic. And I find it so interesting. And it really made my brain work because, like, I knew a lot of this stuff, right? Because I've obviously done a lot of research on legless lizards, but like I knew a lot of this stuff. But like when people started talking about clades and phylogenetically, and I'm like, what is going on?
So now you know.
I'm just a girl with a lizard.
What's going on? Too funny.
Too crazy. Well, I'm very excited about our next little topic. Moving right along.
Oh, I don't know if I'm excited.
Somebody over here is turning 30 very soon. Actually, when this comes out, will it have passed your 30th birthday?
Yeah, I will have just turned 30.
Because it comes out like the weekend
As
before.
of now, I'm 29.
Yes.
By the time this episode comes out.
She'll be a 30-year-old lady.
I will be in my 30s. Yes. And I always get a little like squishy, like emotionally squishy right around my birthday. Because this is like... for me as an individual, it is always a season of reflection.
Of course.
And I always take this time to like look back on the past year, but then also look ahead to the next year. And of course, it comes every year, right? And then you just like hit these milestones.
I think it also helps that your birthday is in November and mine is like early January. So we very much have the same mentality of like, okay, it's like the beginning of a new year, like we're starting a new year. So it feels very in line with the seasons and with like all of that stuff. And so I think that plays into it too. Because I'm very much that way where I'm like, okay, that was year 30. Let's go to the next. Like, you know, it's like that's kind of how we both kind of look at our
Yes. And I'm just a very sentimental, also self-aware person. Yes. So it lends itself to kind of that I do this. But I thought, I mean, so one thing too is oftentimes the youngest of my friend group. I was a year younger for my grade. So like from that alone, I've always been younger. And then just the way life has kind of like worked itself out. I tend to be kind of the last one of my friend group to hit these milestones. I will say as I've gotten older, I do have more friends who are younger than me than obviously like in school and stuff.
Honestly, it's funny because when I look at like some of my very closest friends, like I can think of like 3 people off the top of my head, including yourself, who are all younger than me. So it definitely, like as you get older, like your friendship age gaps kind of widen. Yes, for sure.
But this also means most of my friends are already in their 30s or are not far behind. And so I've been 29 and like, I don't know, some people in my life have been like, oh, you know, you're 30. I'm like,
nope, not yet.
So we're like a matter of weeks away. But I thought it would be in like the spirit of my self-reflection to kind of just like talk through. And we have a lot of listeners who are in their 20s and 30s and beyond of just like looking back at our 20s, you know, year old selves of like, what are some things that we would tell ourselves? And like, if you're in your 20s, like, I hope you can take something away from this. And if you're no longer in your 20s, then I hope you can also like contribute to the conversation or also like feel part of it. And the reality is like, we'll be in this new decade and then we're going to look back in our 30s going into our 40s, you know, and that's just like life for you. Yeah. And so,
No, it's my favorite. And I'm like very excited because I personally, like, as you guys have listened to with my like mental health journey and like everything, I feel like 30s hit me really hard and fast. And so for me, like looking back on my 20s, I feel like a totally different human at nearly 33. I'll be 33 in like 3 months. And so like, it's so crazy for me to like look back at my 20s doing this little exercise and being like, oh, that poor sweet girl. Like, you know, I have so much love for who I was in my 20s. Yeah. And I think like reminiscing on that and looking at just what I would tell her is I don't know, just very sentimental and very sweet.
Yeah, which is why I have mixed feelings right now. Because part of me is like looking ahead to my 30s, but also grieving the end of my
your 20s,
right?
You're in that in between, right?
And that's just life for you, right? And like you can't get back time. Like we have to live our lives moving forward. And I feel like my 20s were such a season of like figuring out who I am, of course, what's important to me, and then like carrying that full throttle into my 30s, right? And like unapologetically living my life, knowing better, still in the works of like, but better of who I am and what's important to me. And like,
and I would argue that is always in the works. Yeah. Right.
Well, as I'm saying, like not figured out.
No, totally, like none of us have ever figured it out. And I actually would argue that each decade that passes, we like get to know different parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed, which I think is so special.
So I texted you my like 5 things. Do you want to start off with one of those?
Absolutely. Okay. So your list was number 1, trust your gut.
Yes. I recently was talking about this, and if I could go back and tell myself anything, like that would probably be like the one I would hold on to, because that rings true in literally all aspects of my life. And anything I did in my 20s that I was like, I wasn't really a big fan of how I handled that or like what I did about that, 100% of the times my gut was telling me what to do. And either I listened to it or I didn't. But every time I've listened to my gut, I've not regretted it. It may have been uncomfortable or it may have been hard in the moment, but like in hindsight, I was like, yep, that was the right decision. And anything that was uncomfortable was me fighting my gut and like trying to explain, but like, why is this not feeling good? Just trust your gut. Like, you know, deep down, and like your brain will tell you one thing and your heart will tell you another thing, but your gut will never steer you wrong, and you don't have to explain it. Yep. You just have to go with it. Yep. And that was like such a tough learning for me particularly in dating.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, I feel like now I'm like, I don't need to explain why. No. I just need to stick with it.
No, your intuition is literally never wrong, in my personal opinion. And I feel very, very similarly, where like I look back on my 20s and there's so many things that I'm like, oh, you knew that wasn't the right call.
Right.
You knew that wasn't the right call. Like, why were we doing that?
Right.
That is a huge, huge, huge one. And some of that literally just comes with figuring out who you are.
Of doing it enough times where you went against your better judgment.
That you're like, I gotta stop doing this.
You're like, nah, I should have just gone with it in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah. Especially like those relationships where I ended it and then like got back together. I was like, but like I knew from that point that this was, and you just, anyways, neither here nor there. But that'd be like a piece of advice.
That is such a real one. Do you want me to jump to my list and go back and forth? Okay. I wasn't sure if we wanted to go all of yours
you're
first
good.
and then all of mine first. What do you got? So mine is similar-ish about just like yourself, but stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Committed to misunderstanding you? Mm-hmm. That's pretty harsh.
I mean, I am someone who has felt like a misfit my whole life. Whether that be like, within my family, within my friends, within my school, within my, sorority back in the day, within whatever, like I've just always struggled, I feel like a little bit to fit in with different certain groups or to truly feel truly deeply and wholly understood. And that is something that that was a feeling, like feeling understood was something that I feel like I was craving my whole 20s. And I feel like a lot of people crave that, right? Like a lot of people just want to be understood. Mm-hmm. And some people get that naturally. And some people, tend to feel not understood. And that was me. And I just felt like I was constantly over-explaining myself to people who just either refused to understand me or just weren't able to.
Yeah, I think oftentimes it's the not able to.
Yes.
Like people want to or try to, they're just not able to. And you have to either make your peace with that of like, okay, this is as far as this can get because of X and Y reasons or experiences, or you have to let that go then, right? Of like, okay, if I can't show up as my most authentic self or feel like I constantly have to explain, and that's something that I struggle with. I think one thing I had on my list was friendships, right? That we've talked about friendship breakups and if your 20s aren't for that season of life, like I don't know.
Honestly, your 30s too.
I don't know what is, right? But like as you're figuring out yourself, you have those legacy friendships that like sometimes will maintain in like best case scenario, but other times they don't quite work or don't quite fit anymore because you're going through your own evolution and that friend is also in their own way, shape, or form. Yeah. And you're either going to come back together or you're going to split apart. And that's just kind of realizing that not all friendships are meant to last forever. Yep. And like that can be really, really tough because potentially that person was there through like 10 plus years, like the previous decade, they were there for that. Right. But why won't they be with you for this season? I don't know. It can be hard.
And that was something I had written down as well, which is friendships ebb and flow, but some will fade, and it's okay to just let that be. Mm-hmm. Like that lesson for me personally was so hard to learn. Like just recognizing that like some friendships aren't going to carry through and like that's okay. Yeah. And letting that go, because I'm someone that in a lot of my friendships I hold on and I don't let friendships go. That's something I've always been
you and me both, man. Like you get mad at me and I get mad at you for the exact same thing. I'm like, why are you tolerating this? You're like, but, and I'm like, and then you'll do the same for me. And I'm like, but,
Literally, so. I know. But sometimes it really is just as simple as letting it go because you can't hold on to every single friendship, and friendships are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And it's a small percentage that are for a lifetime, and that's okay. Okay, Neptune, I gotta know. Are you the type of girl to hit up Black Friday sales or are you not that big of a shopper?
I'm not that big of a shopper, except for the Black Friday sale, because I've been waiting all year to take advantage of those deals.
When it comes to Pangea, I hear they are going to have some pretty big sales going on.
Yes, on November 18th all the way through December 1st, take advantage of all the deals. This is your chance to stock up on your UVB bulbs.
And also, if you want to check out their sales on their reptiles too, maybe you could get a little bit of a pre-Christmas gift.
Treat yourself over at PangeaReptile.com.
We're so excited to introduce the Reptile Girlies to our favorite reptile-friendly coffee and tea brand, Cold Blooded Caffeine. Our favorite thing about them is that they donate 5% of all their proceeds to wildlife conservation to ensure reptiles and amphibians have a place to call home in the wild, as well as in our homes.
And if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with herbal teas. So for any of our fellow tea lovers, they source some of the highest quality loose leaf teas in the world.
Cold Blooded Caffeine offers a wide variety of coffee like their Rainforest Blend, single origin options, and collaborations with some of the biggest names in the reptile world.
For 25% off your first order, use code WILDTYPE at coldbloodedcaffeine.com. By now you've heard us talk all about Scratches, the social app that helps exotic pet owners like us find their people.
You can add photos of you and all your scaly babies, set your filter to reptiles, and start scrolling through your local pet parents who get it. Think of Scratches as your way of avoiding the ever-looming "so do you have any pets?" question. Whether you're looking for friendship, romance, or someone who can pet sit your critters, your community is just a new match away.
Download Scratches today and start connecting with reptile keepers in your area. Available on iOS and Android.
I will say with that can come loneliness.
Of course.
And I do think there potentially, I mean, obviously everyone's life is different, but my 20s did have a lot of chunks of feeling lonely. Lonely in my career ambition, lonely in my dating life, lonely in my friendships as well. Because if you make that decision to let them go, and oftentimes we'll hang on to them because what's the alternative?
Right.
We're by ourselves.
Yeah.
We're spending our Friday evenings by ourselves. Or do we go out with these people that we can tolerate? It's a little harsh, but good enough. At least I'm doing something. I'm hanging out with someone versus by myself. Right. Oftentimes though, you are better off kind of protecting your peace and allowing yourself the opportunity to develop and foster new friendships and new opportunities. But that's so incredibly difficult. Especially in the world of social media, because everyone's Instagram stories on Friday and Saturday are full of them doing all these things. Yes. And you're just scrolling at home being like, what about me? Now, if you're listening to the podcast and you're a reptile girly, you also have that feeling of being an outsider and a little bit different. And
feeling misunderstood.
So then you couple that, then you're who would want to date me? Who would want to be friends with me? Right.
And then it's just the negative self-talk.
And then it's just this really tough spot to be in, but you have to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to give yourself those opportunities to find those friendships, to, start those relationships, whatever it is that you're wanting out of this season of life. But yeah, loneliness is a real thing.
Of course. Well, and I think this kind of goes into one of your next ones, which is that being single is a chapter that you should enjoy.
Yes. And I very early on, I was probably 22, I want to say. I had this good friend, and she said it this way, and I've hung on to it. She's like, look at your life. Say you live 80 years. I mean, hopefully longer. But what if you live that long? And then how long of your life are you going to be single? Maybe from your 20s, maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? That's such a small percentage of your life, and that's such a small chapter of your life. Even if you don't find your significant other until your 40s.
Right.
You still have a whole half of your life to live. And it was going, oh, you're right. In the grand scheme, I'm going to be spending the majority of my life taking someone else into consideration, making sacrifices for my family, whatever that is. Right now, I get to be selfish in the best way possible.
You get to do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want.
Right. And that's not at the cost of anyone else.
No.
It's truly just prioritizing yourself. And what was hard for me too was I felt I had to go travel the world or go do all these things because that's what people say they want to do when they're single or before they have kids. That didn't align for me. The way I wanted to spend my time was just hanging out at home and ordering takeout and watching TV till 2 a.m. and not having anyone make me feel bad about it.
Right.
It was making YouTube videos about chameleons, and that's how I wanted to spend my free time, and not having to take anyone into consideration when making those decisions, getting the animals that I wanted without any of those considerations, like to be able to
without
do that.
Having to run it by someone.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
So like as lonely as I felt, I still had this inkling of like optimism and positivity.
Yeah.
One, surrounding myself with people who had like beautiful relationships, but also knowing that like this too will happen for me one day, and like this chapter is temporary, so I'm just gonna make
the most of it while you can.
Yeah.
I mean, God.
And I know you're a big proponent of that too.
Oh, I love Logan so dearly, but I have said in front of him many a time, I will miss being single for the rest of my life. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with missing that for the rest of my life because I also don't want to go back there. But that was the time of my life and it was fabulous. And I think that everybody should have that. And it goes in line with one of my things that I had on here too, which is focus on finding yourself first. Everything and everyone else will fall into place after that.
Which is so much easier said than done.
Oh God, it's so hard. I literally feel like even just my 30s has been me truly finding myself. I think in my 20s, I thought that I knew who I was and I thought that I had like found myself, but it really has been my early 30s that I'm like, oh, there she is.
From my perspective, watching this like transformation, I feel like in your 20s, you became the person you thought you wanted to be.
Something about that on here.
Oh, okay, good. Like when you were a teenager, you grew up to be the person you thought you're going to be. Then you reached that and went,
I don't like it.
And so now you've been in this new journey of like truly finding that.
Yeah.
And to your point, always subject to change, right?
Always subject. I could be a totally different girl in my 40s, okay? Like, we'll see.
You said 40 and my body just went,
I'm just now accepting the big 3, okay?
Still 29.
But what I had on there that kind of relates to that, and it's like essentially is just because you've moved through life one way for as long as you can remember, it doesn't mean that that's how you want to live your life. Change is good. And that to me is kind of what you were saying for me of like, I had created this wonderful life and it was everything that I thought that I wanted or thought that I should want. And then I hit 30 and I was like, okay, like, yeah, my life is great, but like, is this really how I want to live it? I don't think so. I think this is just kind of what society and life told me I would want. And I don't know if that's actually what I want.
That's so hard.
And that really just goes back to finding yourself, and which again just comes with time and experience and life lessons and learning and all these things. But like, I think finding yourself, finding peace with yourself and truly becoming your own best friend in that way is so, so crucial in your 20s. And that to me is just finding contentment with who you are, the life you want to create, and being okay being alone.
Well, that's what I was saying,
so
right?
critical.
Like, I don't have a desire to travel the world by myself.
Right.
I do want to travel, but I've always wanted to do it with a person. And whether that's a friend or whatever, like, I just don't have the desire to travel alone. I'll go to the movies by myself any day of the week. But, like, that's not something I've ever wanted for myself. So I'm like, but I feel like I should. I feel like I should travel and all that.
That's because the world is telling you that you should want that.
Yes, and that I won't be able to once I'm like, whatever.
And lots of people want that. And anybody who wants that should go and do that.
Yes.
But there are obviously lots of people who don't want that. It's like there's always these conflating things.
Yes.
And so which is why it is so, so key to just really take the time to sit with yourself and just really like understand who you are.
I'm just imagining my like 26-year-old self just being like, who am I?
Well, we're not doing it that specifically. We're doing it in the midst of the craziness that life throws at you.
Yes.
But it's just so important. And I think 20s are such a special time to just truly like cherish the friends you have, cherish the experiences you have, and just don't hold back. I mean, I don't regret anything. And I lived a pretty crazy wild 20s and I don't regret a single thing. And I lived my life to the fullest. And I'm like so grateful for that. So it's like whatever the thing is that you're like scared to do or like anxious to do or anything, like just freaking do it. Just do it. Just do it. You won't regret it and you will have that memory forever.
What's next on my list?
Oh, on your list, we have, this one is a totally different one, but spending money.
Yes. So I was going back and forth. Here's the deal. Odds are, in your 20s, you might have like your first like big girl job. At least that's how it was for me. You also might be managing your bills for the first time. And you also might be surrounded by friends who are making more than you, making less than you, spending more than you, spending less than you. And you have to go through your own soul searching to like figure out where you fit in that. And I kind of had a unique experience. I got my first like big girl job at 21. I came in with like a college hire class to this company. So we all made the exact same salary.
Yeah, which is so wild.
So the way that my brain looked at it is like, we're all in the starting line at the exact same time and say 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. Right? There were some people who wanted to live like downtown and they were paying like $3,000 for their apartment. I was paying like $1,100. Okay. Like, and I was like, how?
Which is still not cheap.
No, but it was cheap compared to nowadays.
$3,000. Yeah. Nowadays.
And compared
$3,000.
to that.
Yeah.
Right. Like I lived a little bit outside the city and in my brain, I was like, how can you afford that? But then like they weren't contributing to their 401k and I was. So it's just a matter of like, priorities of how you want to spend your money. And I will tell you, the money I squirreled away when I was 21 is what has allowed me to have a level of financial freedom about to turn 30. Right? Now, life happens. There's things that are out of your control, like monies and jobs and bills and everything are like, I think the biggest hurdle you have to kind of overcome in your 20s, but be just like thoughtful and intentional of like what you're spending your money on, live your life, find your joy, find your peace, but also be mindful of like what goals do you have, what do you want in the future, and like what are steps you can take now to get there. And I know you have your own kind of like perspective on it, and this is where we are very different people.
Very different people. Because I had the opposite experience where I came out of school with an incredibly low-paying job, very low-paying, but very fantastic creative job that I loved, but very low-paying, whereas all my friends were making, 20, 30, 40K more than me starting out. And so but I also very much was in the midst of a lot of the keeping up with the Joneses, living downtown. I did have a roommate, but rent was still really expensive.
So let me ask you this, because like I know the nitty gritties, and we don't need to get into.
We're not getting into super nitty gritties.
Your finances in your 20s, but you're saying you don't have any regrets, right?
No.
Like, is that something even looking back on of like knowing that was like really tough for you? Like it was harder for you than those around you to kind of like make those purchases and expenses. Like looking back, would you have still?
Oh yeah.
Done that? Okay.
Zero regrets.
Okay.
Which is I know what you're thinking. I know you're like, wow, really?
Well, and that's your life.
Yes. And so what she's talking about, I will say in a very general way, is I got myself into some credit card debt in my early 20s because flashback to an episode where we were talking about sororities, I was in 10 weddings over the course of like 6 years, living downtown, low-paying job, basically just trying to survive, but also have a lot of fun. And boy, did I have fun. But I ended up in not the best financial situation for a little bit.
And that's why I'm saying you have to decide.
Yes.
Individual to individual. Where is the because it's a spectrum, right? Of like how much do you want to spend, how much do you want to save? That's step one.
What are you
But then
okay
it's also
with?
Quality of life.
Yes.
Because you can save as much money as possible by living with 5 roommates and eating ramen noodles.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Totally. But then there's a lot of those.
But then there's quality of life considerations. Right. But do you need to go to 10 weddings in 1 year if that if the numbers don't add up?
And I think a lot of that comes into like personality and stuff
and that's
too.
What I'm saying. But your 20s are like key for figuring out what are your values and what are your priorities. I tend to lean more on like future goals and you were more like in the moment,
immediate goals. Absolutely.
Right. And so like maybe you're somewhere, whoever's listening is like maybe more in the middle more like you or more like me.
Yeah,
but
100%.
Like your 20s, I feel like is your first time to start to figure that out because you finally have money and you finally have opportunities and you get to spend it
however you want. Exactly. And so it's like, I look back at the financial side of things, and while it was hard and I went through a really hard period of like, okay, well now it's time to pay the piper. You know what I mean? Like I really got to get my life together. And now I'm on the complete other end of that and, you know, feeling great, but it takes a while and so now I feel like I'm in a much better place, but because basically what I'm saying is I don't regret any of those things because for me, it was a huge learning lesson that I'm so grateful that I've learned, and I will never wind up in a bad financial position again. And I'm someone that needed to learn the hard way. And you might be that way too. You might have to learn the hard way.
But if you don't have
to, be a little bit more like her. Okay? So,
and it was just, like I said, having that start line at the same time as like a bunch of my colleagues and friends.
It's such an interesting perspective.
Yes, because kind of like a social experiment of like, okay, everyone's starting at the same spot. Now fast forward, like what would be now 9 years later of like, where are we people now?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, and everybody's a little different. Like it truly like, and in all actuality, what we're telling you guys is like, you need to look at it and be kind of decide how you want to go. I didn't decide how I wanted to go. I was going by the seat of my pants. I was flying by that as much as I could.
Yes.
So it's like, if you can have a little bit more of an idea of how you want to do all that.
It goes back to what's important to you.
Yeah.
What are your values, right? And those will ebb and flow as depending who you surround yourself with and like the season of life you're in. And so that was my only point in that.
Oh, but that's a fabulous one. And then the last one is a totally, totally different one, but can be considered along the financial lines. Get the dog.
Yes, that's what I put down.
Get the dog. And I wholeheartedly agree.
That's literally what I put. Isn't that what I exactly said? I said get the dog. Yeah, and you can take that different way. That doesn't have to be like a literal dog. Maybe it's like get the reptile or get the whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is that you want.
But like I always wanted. Like I grew up with dogs. I always wanted a dog, and like I knew how much work it was going to be, and like I was single by myself in an apartment, and I got a 9-week-old Dalmatian. Yeah. Right. And like I busted my butt.
Oh, I remember several phone calls.
Busted my butt in like preparation, but also train her. And I look at Ember literally last night because her birthday is Halloween, and so she's turning 4. And I just have like,
turning 4.
I know.
Oh my God, that means Campbell's probably almost 4.
I know. They're very close in age. We're guessing.
I'll get emotional.
She's turning 4, and I just look at her and I feel just like so much pride and gratitude and like
she's a
love,
dang good
and
dog.
I'm just like so thankful for her of like all the times where I'm like, it's just you and me, kid, you know? And so that was just like a really special thing. And while it was so incredibly hard to have a dog in your 20s, I feel like though, like if that's what you want, if that was what feels good and financially makes sense, then you know, like, because dogs should not be burdens, right? Like, so don't put that on yourself.
Yeah.
But like, what a fabulous thing to experience. And the way that I look at it is like, if all goes well, like Ember will be my kid's first dog, right? And like to be able to experience that and just like it's me and her against the world kind of thing, especially when you are single in your 20s. Like it can be like a really special thing. Well, like I said, it was daunting or whatever. Like I literally have no regrets, and she's been such a blessing.
Absolutely.
And so I would just like get the dog.
On the flip side. Which is very funny. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. If you are somebody that wants a dog in your 20s, freaking do it. Okay. But what is hilarious is this is the exact flipped opposite of the financial side of things. When it came to getting the dog, I also knew forever I want a dog. I grew up with at least one dog in the house at all times. I love dogs. But I was very much the opposite, where I was like, I grew up with a dog that was very, very, very difficult to train. She was very dominant and didn't listen to anybody except my dad and like all that. So I witnessed my parents go through the struggle of trying to train her and potty training and raising. And I was like 10 years old at the time. So I was like, eyes wide open. So I took that to heart. So all of my 20s, I was like, I want a dog so bad, but I refuse to do so until I have a backyard or a partner to help. Those were like my 2 requirements.
Yeah.
And I got so lucky that Campbell like fell into my lap right when both of those 2 things, like I feel like I manifested it because I've said those 2 things forever.
Yeah.
And the summer that I got those 2 things, it was like, here's your dog. But for me, I'm so glad that I didn't get a dog in my 20s. Which is the polar opposite of everything you just said, but I fully agree with everything you just said.
Right.
But for me, it was the opposite. It was like, and now for me on the flip side, it's been so wonderful getting to like share that with Logan. But it is also like now I have to share the dog with somebody. So it's like you said, me and you against the world. I don't have that aspect, which is such a special, amazing, wonderful aspect. But I'm also glad that I have my different variation of that where like it's me, Logan, and Campbell. Like
right,
it's
your
our
little family.
It's our little fam. So, you know, it's like truly whichever way you go, it can't go wrong. But no matter which way it is, whether you have a backyard and a partner or not, get the dog.
Yes.
Always get the dog.
But like what that really comes down to is like whatever your plan is and whatever you truly want.
Yes.
Whether for you is like you want the partner, you want the yard, and you're not going to compromise on that. Done.
Yeah.
I want the dog, so I'm going to do everything in my power to set both myself up and Ember for success. Done. Right? Like, and that's really what it comes down to. Right? Whatever your personal preferences. And the same with like the finances and all that. It's like truly whatever feels good for you.
To finding yourself. Pulling
you
it
could just
right
open
back.
a fortune cookie and be like, here you go. This is all you need.
Here it is. Yeah. So I think that was it. On our both of our lists.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I can feel I'm on the cusp of a very big season of change.
Oh yeah, I can feel it.
And I have gone through this enough times in my 29, almost 30 years of life. I can feel it. I'm like, it's about to happen. And like, in pretty much every aspect of my life. And I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to be present as much as possible because I know this too shall pass, and that's life, where like the only constant is change. But because I'm such a sentimental, like hold on to things person, I'm trying my darndest to be like, okay, enjoy this as much as you can now, while also simultaneously looking ahead for what's to come. And it's kind of this weird like one hand's grabbing the past and one hand's grabbing the future. And I'm like right in that, like,
what is so
haven't quite made the switch, you know?
It's so crazy to me that you're explaining it that way because that summarizes exactly how I felt from 29 to 30.
Oh.
Like exactly. I was like, I feel like everything is changing really fast and I like don't know what to do about it and I sense it coming, but I'm kind of just here.
But these are like, at least for me, I know for you, they're like the changes I've been like wanting 100%. And have been getting excited for. And like, I think of my relationship of like, where's that going to be in my 30s? Like
your career,
my
everything.
Career. Am I going to be a mom in my 30s? Am I going to have another dog in my 30s? Am I going to have, you know, another batch of chameleon babies?
Are you going to have a different house in your 30s?
What is the podcast going to look like? Like, I can feel it and I know it because I've gone through different versions of it.
The shift is inevitable. The cycles of life, which this goes into one of my favorite tarot cards, which is the Wheel of Life, or the Wheel of Fortune is the tarot card. And it is all about how cyclical life is. And there are always transitions. And like you said, the only constant is change.
Yep.
And you can always feel it coming.
So I have like this underlying excitement for what's to come, while simultaneously a feeling of what I would explain as gratitude.
Yes.
Because it's not grief, it's just truly gratitude for like what I've experienced in life to get me to this point, to then get me to what will be. And like that's such like a cheesy
thing. I feel the exact same level of gratitude that I do for my 20s and who I was in my 20s. Like I kind of look at it as like that version of myself, like my 20s me, like that version of me, I just like hold her so near and dear to my heart because she didn't know what the hell she was doing, but she was
figuring it out.
She was trying her best, and man, did she have fun figuring it out, you know? And I just have like so much like gratitude and love and appreciation for that version of me. And everybody should have that.
Yeah. So you guys have it.
Yes.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday.
No, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to like talk about this with all of you. And if you have any thoughts, let me know.
A little teary-eyed.
I know, I got that when I was talking about Ember. I was like, don't look down, don't look down.
Also, don't look at me.
No, we learned that a long time ago. We cannot look each other away. But you want to take us home?
Yes, that's going to wrap us up. I believe this is episode 104. So moving right along, we will wrap it up. And I am rambling.
5?
Is this 105 or 104? 5. Oh, I thought it was 4.
100 and something.
Anyway, you could check us out everywhere at the Wild Type Podcast on all the platforms. You can find me everywhere at Listless Lizards.
Check me out, Neptune and Chameleon.
And we'll see you girlies later.
Bye.